Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Packer Family Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Laliberty, joined with co-hosts Sam and Thomas Laliberty, ready for another episode of Packer Weekly. We had a very busy week last week in Packers sports, so grab your maroon, white, and sometimes gold, and let's dive right in. We're going to start things off with our girls tennis team. In their first Metro East Conference match, the girls were victorious with a 5-2 victory over the Hastings Raiders. And then this past Saturday, the girls were in Roseville for a quadrangle against Roseville, Centennial, and MPA. At this time, we are recording. We do not have any results on that, so we'll have to get back to that once we get some more information. The upcoming week serves up a solid amount of competition as the girls take on the Academy of Holy Angels on Monday at 4 p.m. On Tuesday, the girls travel to Two Rivers for a match against the Warriors at 3:30, and Thursday, again they travel, but this time to Simley, for a 4 p.m. match, and they conclude the week with a tournament at Eastridge starting at 8:30 a.m. on Saturday. My goodness, that's a lot of tennis. Moving on, we're going to start going over Sam here with some information on the girls' soccer team. Take it away, Sam.
Yes, before we get into this week's content, we have to go back a couple weeks and revisit the Holy Angels game. The South St. Paul girls won 2-0. 2-0, excuse me. The Holy Angels were the Week 1 Coaches Poll number 1 ranked team in AA, and they have won our section roughly the last 6+ years. It can't be understated what a big win that was for our girls.
Yeah, it was a big win. I had an opportunity to email back and forth a little bit with Coach Hart, and he was the one that brought this to my attention. So we felt like we needed to go back and touch on that game one more time. So congratulations on that big win. And Sam, how did last week? How did our girls soccer team fare last week?
Yes. This week the girls had a 8-0 win over Johnson last Tuesday, followed up with a 4-0 loss to Two Rivers in a rainy slop fest, and a 2-0 loss on Saturday to Cretin-Derham Hall. But this week, the girls play on Tuesday the 9th, Thursday the 11th, and Saturday the 13th. Tuesday's game will be a home tilt against the Polars of North St. Paul at 5 p.m. Thursday, the match is away at Hastings at 5 p.m. And the girls finish the week at home against Trinity School at 3 p.m. on Saturday. And moving along to boys soccer, the boys had a pretty quiet week with one match ending in a 2-0 loss to Two Rivers. This week they have a busier week, much like the girls' team, with games on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday against North St. Paul, Hastings, and Trinity. Game times are 7 p.m. at home, 7 p.m. away, and 1 p.m. at home. Passing it along to Thomas with football. Once again, the guys put together a solid effort on both sides of the ball with a 35-0 win over Richfield for a 2-0 start for the first time in 9 to 10 years. This game was essentially over at halftime with first half touchdowns for Matthew Jackson with 2 touchdowns, Ben Thrung, and Jake Baldus. Defensively, the Packers had interceptions from Keyshawn Jarman and Brody Henry. The Packers brought pressure all night, and it was an all-around great effort from the Packer football team. This week's game is home this Friday against 1-1 North St. Paul at 7 p.m. The Polars had a close loss week 1 to St. Cloud Tech and a blowout win over St. Paul Como Park 41-8. Looks like this will shape up to be a good match for our Packers. Let's fill the stands to support our boys. On to volleyball. Our girls started the week out strong with a 3-0 win over St. Paul Harding, but were humbled later in the week with a 0-3 loss to a formidable Matamidi team. This week, the Packers have 2 home matches as they take on Roosevelt High at 6 p.m. on Tuesday the 9th and Two Rivers on Thursday the 11th at 6:15. Let's pack the gym this week as the girls look to get back on track.
Very good, you guys. Very good. A side note here, with swimming and diving, again, we're trying to find more results with this team. I have emailed the coach. I have not yet heard back. So if anybody can help, try and get some information or results from this squad. We'd love to be able to report on them. At this point, they did have a meet last week. They have another one this week on Saturday coming up at 1:15 at Skyview Middle School against Tartan. So again, if anybody has information on the swimming and diving team, we'd love to be able to report on our girls team. And we're going to finish things up here with cross country. They had a pretty quiet week last week. They had no meet last week, but they have 2 running slates this week. Our cross country crew is running in a varsity conference preview at St. Croix Bluffs on Tuesday at 4 p.m. And then they are taking part in an under the lights race at Eden Prairie on Saturday night starting at 5 p.m. So that sounds like a pretty cool event. So that essentially concludes our Packer Weekly for our South St. Paul Packer Sports. Again, another busy week coming up here. Had a great first week of school and fun to kind of get things all kicked off. So unless you guys have anything more, thoughts? Sam, Thomas?
Nope.
Nothing from you guys? All right, fair enough. Well, thanks again for listening, everyone. And as always, go Packers.
Go Packers.